So, dear Minister, dear friends, Dr. Tang, Excellencies, thanks for being with us this afternoon. It's my distinct pleasure and honor to address you today at the Singapore-IRENA High-Level Forum. IRENA extends its sincere gratitude to the Ministry of Trade and Industry of Singapore for hosting this forum. You know, from when I started my tenure at IRENA, already 5 years ago, there is one meeting, one event that I will never miss it, and it's the Singapore Week. And this happened also this year. And I will be in the next year, hoping to be in good health. As you see today, I'm not really in good health. You know, after senior, we all want to play tennis. Sometimes we have to be more prudent in afford the sport. Anyway, at IRENA, we believe that renewable energy is the most viable path to a just, inclusive, and equitable energy transition. I will never stop to say that. We were commenting about some of the speeches that we have heard in this day. You know, in football, it's very simple. If one player is beyond the line of the ball, it's offside. No? Sometimes I wish to say that any statement that is out of the limit that the science gives us for being in line with the achievement of the Paris Agreement goals should be offside. And I wish to repeat that renewables is the only technology that can be deployed in time to reach the 43% reduction in 2030, the 65% in 2035, that can put the planet, the world, in line with the achievement of the Paris Agreement goals. You know, 133 countries have committed to tripling installing renewable energy capacity and doubling the rate of energy efficiency by 2030, as is in the UAE consensus. As custodians of the energy outcome of the UAE consensus, and we are happy, honored to have this role, also thanking to our global membership, IRENA just less than 2 weeks ago has published the report on tracking progress toward tripling renewable energy capacity and doubling energy efficiency by 2030, in partnership with the COP28, the COP29, and the COP30 incoming presidency, so the Troika. And with the Global Renewable Alliance, making also clear that the private sector should be part of all this effort. The unfortunate reality from our tracking report, as we see that, as has been just said, we are not on track to meet the COP28 UAE consensus commitment. Despite witnessing progress record of 473 gigawatts of renewable capacity being deployed in 2023, we are still heavily off track from our intended trajectory. Tripling installed renewable capacity to 11.2 terawatts by 2030 requires deploying approximately 1,050 gigawatts of renewable capacity every year for the next 6 years. And from now until 2030, 31.5 trillion of US dollar needs to be invested globally in renewables deployment, grids, flexibility system, energy efficiency, and a conservative investment. Just to be clear, because sometimes the number has meaning, 11.2 terawatt means the clean energy capacity that we need in place to allow to decrease the CO2 emission as requested by the IPCC, but in the same time, don't create disruption into the system. So if the demand is rising, as it is rising, this should be satisfied with more renewables. This is the sense of the 11.2 terawatt. And we cannot also say that cost of renewables are an excuse anymore. First of all, the energy transition is not a cost, it's an investment. Please align with this language in your speech. Because it seems that without the energy transition, there are no costs. It's not true. No? Investing in the energy transition. And when we talk about the cost, we publish every year a report monitoring more than 17,000 projects. And what we see is that renewables today are the most cost-effective solution to provide power. And this happened in 81% of the cases. The most competitive fossil fuel option is, again, less competitive than renewables. And it's also unbelievable. We monitor this data, and sometimes say, is it still possible that also this year we have a two-digit decrease of the cost of renewables? No? It's happening. And this is also happening for the storage, it's happening for hydrogen. And when we see about another report that has been just mentioned, the Renewable Energy and Jobs Report shows the global energy jobs reached 16.2 million in 2023, up from 3.7 million in 22, indicating an unbelievable, amazing 18% increase. So renewables is good because it puts us in the right track for the achievement of the Paris Agreement. It's the most economical way to produce power, and you also produce jobs. 1 unit of renewable provides 3 times jobs that 1 unit of fossil fuels investment. So these trends are reflected also in Asia. Despite Southeast Asia's dependence on fossil fuel in power, transport, industry, and other end-use sectors, we firmly believe the region holds tremendous promise and opportunities for the accelerated deployment of renewables. The rest of Asia, excluding China and India, accounted for 2.1 million of renewable industry jobs in 2023. In IRENA, the decarbonization scenario for Southeast Asia by 2050, the region is projected to reach over 90% of renewable energy share in power generation, driven by the expansion of solar and wind capacity, along with other sources like hydropower and geothermal. Achieving this ambition projection will require installing between 2.7 and 3.4 terawatts of renewable power capacity in Southeast Asia, supported by a significant boost in interconnectivity, as Dr. Tanges just said. IRENA's upcoming publication on interconnectivity in ASEAN recognized the important need for enhanced regional cooperation, regulatory framework, and grid interconnectivity to decarbonize the power sector. The action plan is clear. To scale up triple installed renewable capacity in Southeast Asia and globally, we must establish robust infrastructure, develop conducive policy framework, and develop technical capacity and skills. And concerning infrastructure, we are very proud that we have the occasion to sign an agreement with the Port Authority of Singapore, where we think that we can showcase how it will be possible to adapt our maritime system to the new system that is coming. These 3 pillars, infrastructure, policies, and skills, must be backed by scale-up financing and international cooperation. To put our words into action, I'm brought back to the fond memory of IRENA hosting the first international forum for South Asia in Bali under the G20 presidency in 2022. And I'm proposing something to Minister Tan when we'll have the bilateral in a few minutes. That could be very interesting for the next year in Singapore. Since then, we have organized the investment forum in the Caribbean, Latin America, and Africa. And now we are arranging an investing forum for Central Asia next month at COP28. Coming straight from Nairobi, where we had an investment forum last week, I said that finally, possibly, we have found a key for making things happening faster also in Africa. In collaboration with ASEAN, IRENA has published the Renewable Energy Outlook for ASEAN a couple of years ago, and several other reports on socioeconomics, biofuel, and hydrogen outlooks for Southeast Asia. Furthermore, ARENAs provide NDC support, technical assistance, and policy guidance on 96 members, including several Southeast Asian countries. We will build on this strong basis to deliver the support for parties to see that enhanced energy sector targets are technologically and economically feasible, as well as socioeconomically viable. Lastly, I would like to commend the Energy Market Authority of Singapore for their continued collaboration with ARENA and steadfast commitment to accelerate the energy transition nationally and regionally. I'm certain that the Singapore International Energy Week will hold profound significance as we collectively chart the course toward an accelerating energy transition and net zero future through financing, investment, knowledge sharing, and international collaboration. Grazie a tutti. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you, Director General